normal, so that's okay. So we'll go ahead and get started. Today, you can have 2 blocks, a blanket, a strap if you would like. If you don't want any of those, that's completely fine. But I would like you to start sitting, so seated rather. So sit on something if you would prefer, or you can also sit on the ground too, because maybe you get better feedback if you have both sit bones on the floor. But we're going to take a moment to sit. And then I want you to just soften the gaze or close the eyes. And when you first come into your seat, just take the opportunity to fidget around, move around in any way that feels appropriate for you so that you can come to a place of stillness. And once you've gotten any fidgeting out, we're going to see if we can just sit here for a couple of minutes. And the intention is to just notice what you notice. Notice any sensations that come up in the body. Notice any sensations that come up in the breath. And notice any sensations that come up in terms of your emotional register, your thought patterns. Whatever happens to be present, we just see if we can A, observe it, and B, just allow it to be there. So this week, you're going to keep being with yourself, and I'm just going to chit chat a little bit. This week, I've been really finding myself thinking about this concept of, I guess, trust and this concept of knowledge. In many ways, our capacity to trust others really is dependent upon our capacity to trust ourselves. And both are really dependent upon our ability to know something, to see something. And sometimes the things that we see or we feel immediately trigger something within us, whether it's, ooh, I like that attraction, or ooh, I don't like that aversion. And the yoga practice teaches us to find the equanimity between the two, where we're neither craving to those or attached or craving one thing or desiring to move away from another. And so as you're here for this last few breaths, the invitation is just allow yourself to notice when you're moving towards something, and maybe when you're moving away from something, and then see how you can remain the witness, the unconditional loving presence that welcomes both. As we move into our practice today, we're going to really explore a variety of postures that may evoke a sense of craving, or they may evoke a sense of, ugh, I want to get a heck out of that. But in either case, we're allowing ourselves to start to cultivate the skills to see so that we can trust, so that we can be with not only ourselves, but also with others. At the end of this next exhalation, you'll gently release your hands alongside your hips. And if you'd like, you might switch the cross of your ankle because we were sitting there for a little bit. If you're happy as you are, you will stay exactly as you are. And then the first thing that we'll do is we'll just draw our thumbs to our pinky finger mound. And then you'll wrap all of your other 4 fingers around your thumb. And then let's just bring our elbows in alongside our waist. And as though you were revving up a motorcycle, you'll flex and extend your wrists. And you'll just notice what that feels like. Good morning, Julie. And you'll take about 5 to 10 of these. It's really dependent upon how much mobility you have at this moment and how fluid your wrists feel. And then after you've done this next one, we'll go ahead and come to stillness. Turn your palms to face the sky, and you're going to create some little circles. Now, you might notice that one wrist wants to move a little bit easier than the other. You'll take about 4 or 5 one direction and then switch directions. Okay. We're just pausing and we're breathing. We're noticing what we've noticed. And after you've done 4 or 5 that direction, you'll pause, you'll come back to the initial position, and then you're going to flick your fingers forward. We're just going to flick, like actively flicking water. And you can go as fast or as slow as you want. Da, 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 da. But slowly, your arms are going to creep alongside your ears. Da, 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 da. Flick, 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 flick. Keep creeping those arms up until your arms eventually get too straight. And then you flick, 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 and flick some more for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fantastic. Release your arms alongside your hips. Awesome sauce. If you want to shake out your wrists, great. If you're happy just being still, fantastic. All right. So back to having our arms alongside our side. Go ahead and extend your left arm parallel to the floor. And then our first test is just to go ahead and look over your right shoulder. And as you look over your right shoulder, I want you to notice what you notice in your neck on the left side. If you notice anything happening in your left shoulder, awesome. I'm going to go ahead and bring your head back to center. Fantastic. Now you're going to externally rotate your left arm. So now your left palm faces up. And again, you're going to look to your right. And you're going to notice if anything has changed. Maybe you now feel something along the front of your chest on the left side. Fantastic. Then bring your head back to center. Now send the heel of your hand, good morning, Robin, away from you. So you're flexing through your left wrist, and you just pause there. Notice if you spread your hand wide, if that feels different versus keeping your fingers more together. And then again, turn your head over to the right. And again, you're just pausing and you're breathing and you're noticing what you notice. Nice work. Come back to center with the head. Now externally rotate the arm. So now you've got a flexed wrist, you're pushing the hand away from you, fingertips are pointing down, and turn towards the right. And you really want to flex through that left wrist as much as you can, and you just notice what you notice. Fantastic. Turn your head back to center, turn your hand back to the palm to face the floor, and then lower your arm. And then just notice if you notice anything between the sides. Cool. Then we'll go ahead and lift the right arm parallel to the floor, palm faces down. Again, take your gaze over to the left. And I haven't mentioned this, but I hope you're breathing. And so we're just pausing and we're breathing. And then turn your gaze back over your center. Externally rotate the right arm so the palm faces up. And again, look over your left shoulder. And notice if your chin is dipping down towards your chest or if it's parallel-ish to the floor. Fantastic. Inhale, come back through center. Go ahead and turn the palm to face away from you, like you're pressing the wall away, flexing at the wrist. And again, turn and look over your left shoulder. And again, pausing and breathing, noticing what you notice. Turn your gaze back to center, externally rotate the right arm. So now your fingertips point down, palm presses away. And again, look towards your left. And you just pause and you breathe and you pause and you breathe. Then inhale, come back through center, turn your palm to face the floor again, and then lower your hand down. Now from here, just take a couple of shoulder shrugs and just notice what that feels like. You might want to move your head around. You might want to move your neck around, especially those of you that sit at a desk a lot. This might feel not so much fun. Okay. If you want to switch the cross of your ankles, by all means, go ahead and do that. And then we'll move on. So hands back into your little ballerina position. Inhale, lift your arms parallel to the floor. Now externally rotate from the shoulders, so both palms face up. And with resistance, you're going to reach your arms alongside your ears. And we're going to hopefully keep our wrist in one long line with our arms. And as you're here, notice what it feels like to press down through both sit bones as you reach up through your pinky fingers. Fantastic. Bend just your left elbow. Grab your left elbow with your right hand. Awesome. Now press your left elbow to the left as you normally would as you pull it into the right. Notice if you can press down into both sit bones and then draw your front ribs back. Keeping the front ribs drawing back, draw your skull straight back. Some of you will stay right here. Some of you will start to turn your gaze to the left. And as your head maybe goes to the left, you're paying attention to what's happening in the back of your spine, particularly on the right side of the spine. And you're just pausing and you're breathing and you're pausing and you're breathing and you're pausing and you're breathing. Next in breath, you'll come back through center. Go ahead and lift up through the right arm, lift up through the left, turn the palms to face down and bring the hands down. Cool. Now, when your arms come down this time, I want you to draw your shoulder blades forward and then draw your shoulder blades back. So protraction and retraction of the scapula. It feels like you're doing like maybe a seated cat-cow just here. Steve has a hand raised. Oh, you do, Steve. Oh, no, you don't necessarily. That's funny. Okay. Cool. And then let's go ahead and release down and we'll trial that on the other side. Wonder why Zoom told me you have your hand raised, Steve. Okay, so let's go ahead and lift your arms out to the side. Again, externally rotate from the shoulders. And then with resistance, inhale, extend up and overhead. Again, root down through both sit bones. And then bend your right elbow. Grab your right elbow with your left hand. Awesome. Now press the right elbow to the right as you pull it into the left. Again, make sure your right and left sit bone are rooted. Draw front ribs into the back body. Press your skull straight back into your arm, and maybe you stay here, or maybe you start to take your gaze over to the right. And again, we're just pausing and we're breathing, and we're pausing and we're breathing. And this time we're paying attention to what's happening in our left back body. Really keeping the head on top of our spine. Nice job. Next in breath, come back through center. And we'll go ahead and reach up through the left arm, up through the right, and then lower your arms down. Cool. All right. Last thing before we move on, we'll open our arms out to the right and to the left. You're going to give yourself a hug, left arm underneath, right arm on top. Maybe you happily stay here. Maybe you bring the backs of the hands to touch. Maybe you bring the fronts of the palms to touch. What I'd like you to do is you're going to slowly lower your elbows down towards your navel without rounding your spine. And especially those of you that said you had some neck and shoulder stuff, just notice where you find that spot where you're like, oh, I'm just going to stay here and breathe. And then you'll just stay there and breathe. And at some point, you might find that you want to find a little bit of contraction in the upper back. So if you do that, then your chin will come towards your chest, your elbows will come forward a smidge, and your head might come towards the hole between your arms. Awesome sauce. And if you've done all that, you're going to slowly rewind, retrograde the movement. And this time with your elbows, you'll see if you can start to maybe lift them up a smidge. And you'll notice where you find that other spot where you're like, oh, wow, that's fun. And then you're just going to pause and you're going to breathe. Fantastic. We'll gently release, unwind, and open the arms back out. Maybe drop them down, shake it around if you'd like, and then we'll try the other side. All right, arms open like a little bird. Give yourself a hug. Again, this time right arm is underneath, left arm is on top. Maybe you stay here. Maybe backs of hands touch. Maybe fronts of palms touch. And again, you press the elbows into each other and slowly draw the elbows down towards the floor until you find a spot that feels appropriate for you to just take a couple of breaths. And again, maybe you stay right there. Maybe start to round the upper spine and send the elbows forward a little bit, and your head comes towards the whole of your arms. Yep. And then when you're ready to come out of that, you gently reverse engineer. And this time we'll send our elbows up just a smidge. And you'll find that spot where you find a nice little release for you. Fantastic. Go ahead and come to neutral. Unwind the arms. Fantastic. Again, move it around if you'd like. And then we'll make our way onto hands and knees. When we come to hands and knees, if your knees are sensitive, by all means, pad your knees. If you'd like to bring your blankets to the upper corner, your blocks to the upper corner of your mat, go ahead and do that. Steve, do you have a question or did Zoom just raise your hand for you? Okay. I didn't think you did. I don't know how to make that go away. Whatever. We'll leave it there. Okay. Once we find ourselves on hands and knees, we're going to find our fun static back position. So you're going to drop your butt, you're going to drop your belt, or sorry, lift your butt, drop your belly, drop your head, and let your arms be super straight. And just let the head fall towards the floor. Let your heart melt between the gates of your arms. Let your belly hang towards the floor as your pelvic floor widens. Now, because we did all this stuff with the shoulders, this position might feel a little bit different. So we're just going to see what we notice as we go through this. On your next in-breath, you're going to see if you can still widen your sit bones, but now lift your head and you'll find yourself in your cat pose. Great. From here, start to scoop the tailbone, then scoop the belly, then scoop the ribs, and lift the heart, then drop the chin, then lower the head and find yourself into your cat pose. And then when you're ready, you'll lift the sit bones, you'll drop the belly, you'll drop the ribs, you'll drop the heart, you'll drop the chest, you'll widen the collarbones, you'll lift your chin and find yourself in cow. Great. You'll do that 2 more times on your own, just starting from your bum, moving towards your head. And just notice what you notice in the shoulder girdle in particular as we're moving through this space. Awesome. Great. After this next inhalation, you'll find a neutral spine. Awesome. And from here, let's go ahead and just extend your right foot back behind you. Go ahead and pulse a little forward and back if you'd like on that calf, just to stretch it out. Great. And then lower your right knee to the mat, extend your left foot back. And you'll do the same, pulsing back, forward, and back a few times. Just notice how that feels. Okay, great. Let's go ahead and lower the left knee down. Last little thing, just to get us prepped. So let's go ahead and melt our heart between the gates of our arms again. This time I want you to draw your low belly into your spine and see if you can find a neutral spine. And then round just your upper back. So we're going to see if we can find our serratus push-ups. So you'll melt your heart between the arms, and then you'll press the floor away and round just the upper back. Your low back stays as neutral as it can. Your head stays as neutral as it can. You're just moving the serratus anterior muscles around the ribs to sort of move your rib cage up and down. Great. The next time you are in neutral, let's go ahead and stay there. Extend your right leg back, curl the toes under, and then float your right leg parallel to the floor. From here, walk your left hand forward. Maybe your fingertips stay on the floor, or maybe you lift your whole left arm parallel to the floor. Great. We're going to stay here for about 5 breath cycles. The encouragement is to press down into your right hand and left knee. Draw your low belly away from the floor. Press your right heel straight back. Reach forward through your left pinky finger, and then notice if your head is in line with your spine and see if you can lift that. Great. Next exhale, lower the hand and then lower the leg. Let's try the other side. Slide your left foot back, curl the toes under. Go ahead and lift the left leg parallel-ish to the floor. Maybe you stay here. Maybe you crawl your right fingertips forward. Maybe they stay there, or you float the right arm parallel-ish to the floor. Now again, we push down through the left hand, right shin. We press back through your left heel, reach forward through the right pinky finger, scoop the belly away from the floor as you extend your crown forward. Nice job. And then on your next exhale, lower the hand and lower the leg. Great. You've got 3 of these on your own. So you'll just inhale and send the right leg back, the left arm forward. You'll exhale and you'll lower the hand and the leg. You'll inhale, you'll send the left leg, the right arm. You'll exhale and lower it down. 2 more on your own. Take your time. Our whole practice today is really about developing a sense of trust in ourselves, which means we have to really know ourselves. The things that are really great about us, the things that we wish would be a little different. Well, we're just taking our time, we're pausing and we're breathing. Great. After you've done a total of 4 sets, you'll go ahead and press back to child's pose and just take a couple of breaths before we do a couple more things. And just pause and we breathe. We pause and we breathe. What is your relationship to rest? How do you encounter that? How do you experience that? All right, let's go ahead and move on. Inhale, come back to hands and knees. This time, we're going to bring our left hand to the back of our skull. Left hand back of skull. Push down onto your right hand, and then see if you can rotate your ribs over towards the left. And you'll notice that with your hand on your head, maybe we don't get as far as we think that we might. So send your pubic bone back, send your sternum forward, send the crown of your head forward. And then on your next exhale, see if you can touch your left elbow towards either your right wrist without bending the right elbow or the right elbow, again, without bending the right elbow. And then you'll inhale and open up. And we've got 3 of these. So we're going to keep the right arm straight, and we're going to see if we can tap our left elbow somewhere to touch our right wrist or our right elbow. You just pause and you notice that this rotation is a little bit more limited than one might think. Okay, you got one more. The next time your elbow is high, we're going to pause there. Go ahead and lift up through the left hand. So left hand straight up to the sky. There we go. And then as you exhale, thread that hand underneath you to the right, lower the left ear to the mat and replant that right palm and just take a couple of breaths here, breathing into the back of the shoulder blade. Now, is there a part of this shape that you're really enjoying, you're craving, you're going towards? Is there a part of this shape that you're like, I want to get away from this as quickly as possible? And wherever we are, can we just allow ourselves to be, I guess, balanced, non-attached, well, I can't say that right now. Have a sense of equanimity between the two. All right, next in breath, let's go ahead and come back to center. Replant that left hand underneath your shoulder. Bring your right hand to the back of your head. Again, press down into your left hand to lift your right elbow up. And you just pause here. And notice if you can send the pubic bone back, the sternum forward, the crown forward, finding that length. And then as you exhale, we'll see if we can tap right elbow, maybe towards left wrist, maybe towards left elbow, but you've got 4 of these. And you're just noticing we're trying to get the rotation in our thoracic spine. And depending upon your length of limbs, you might find that it's harder to reach towards your elbow, or you might find it's harder to reach towards your wrist. It really depends. Like I have pretty long limbs and a shorter torso. So for me, it's harder to go to my elbow than it is to go to my wrist. But I like the wrist stretch better. So that's where I am going. All right. The next time your elbow is high, you pause there. Go ahead and extend the right hand up to the sky. And then as you exhale, thread the arm underneath you. Bring the right ear to the mat. Maybe replant your left hand and just take a couple of breaths here. And you just notice what you notice. Sometimes we crave things because it's a sense of comfort or a sense of familiarity. And there are times where that is perfectly wonderful and amazing and the best thing we should do. And then there's sometimes we crave things because it's a stimulus. And again, there are times that that's perfectly wonderful and amazing and the thing that we should do. Next in breath, come towards center. Replant the right hand next to the left. Cool. Now, just for a moment, let's step our right knee out or our right foot out. So the right foot is in line with the left knee. And then you're going to walk your hands about 12 inches forward and start to melt your chest towards the floor. Now, as we're here, we're pressing onto the knife edge of our right foot. We're noticing if we can send both sit bones straight back. Some of you will stay right here, happy as little baby clams. Some of you will lift your head up away from the floor. You'll crawl your hands a little bit towards the upper right corner of your space. You'll lower your ears back in line with your arms, and you'll isometrically pull back with your left hand until you feel a stretch happening now on the inside edge of our right thigh and the outside edge of our left ribs. Great. If you've taken that variation, go ahead and lift back through center. Walk your hands back to center and underneath your chest, and then walk your right leg underneath you. And then we'll try that on the other side. So send the left foot out, left toes in line with right knee. Walk your hands about 12 inches forward. Start to send your pelvis back as your heart and chest melt towards the floor. Again, left pinky toe presses into the floor, and maybe we stay right here. Maybe you lift your head away from the floor, walk your hand slightly to the upper left corner of your space, lower your ears back in line with your arms, and continue to breathe here. Now you might feel something on the inside edge of the left thigh and the outside edge of the right rib cage. When you're ready to come out, you lift the head, you walk back to center, you walk the hands underneath you, and then you'll crawl your foot back underneath you. Cool. All right. Go ahead and send your right foot back and your left foot back, and suddenly you're in plank. Awesome. And now, just to make sure, because I'm going to make you do some things that may not be so much fun, let's go ahead and lower your right forearm to the mat and your left forearm to the mat. So we're now in a forearm plank. Press down through your elbows. See if you can lift your pubic bone to your belly button, lightly squeeze your glutes, and then really press the floor away as you extend your crown in line with your tailbone. So we're trying to get the serratus anterior muscles to come back on. We're also trying to feel all the core muscles. And after you've taken about 4 or 5 breaths here, you're going to come back to plank, and then you're going to go to downward facing dog. And you'll just notice what you notice. Notice the breath, notice the body. And once you get to down dog, some of you will be completely still. Some of you might want to choose to bend one knee and then the other. Some of you might want to shift your pelvis a little right to left. Some of you might choose to come forward and back. Now, we talked about the things that we crave and why we like to go towards them sometimes, and how that's completely wonderful. And sometimes we do need to avoid certain things, and that's perfectly wonderful. We avoid things because they're too much or they're not the right fit. We avoid things because they're unknown, or, something that could potentially be injurious. But we have to find the balance, the wisdom to know the difference between the two, because sometimes the things that are the most fulfilling to us, as you all probably can attest to, since I think actually all of you are parents, there are certain aspects of parenting that I am sure are not the things you want to go towards. And yet, when you do them, you notice that there's this joy and this release that comes after an initial sense of discomfort. And so we're seeing if we can bring that skill to other aspects of our practice. So if you're still in movement, go ahead and come to stillness. Let's go ahead and walk to the top of our space and find ourselves in an Uttanasana forward fold. Now, once you get to the top of the space, if the floor feels too far, by all means, use those blocks underneath your hands. Some of you will just take a moment here to just hang. Some of you might grab an opposite elbow or the back of your skull, but notice what's happening in your feet. Notice what's happening in your legs. Notice what's happening in your spine. Sometimes if I feel like I want my spine to be heavier or longer, I'll bring my hands to my pelvis and push my pelvis away from my head, because then that gives me a little bit more traction in the spine, and it just lets it be long. Great. Wherever you are, let's go ahead and release our hands down to the floor. And then from here, slide your fingers up your shin, lift your spine parallel to the floor. Take a moment to pause here. Hug all the muscles around your calves and your shins. Press your fingers into your shin bones. See if you can send your sternum for the center of your skull, for the center of your pubic bone back. Draw your hands to your hips. And then inhale, come all the way up to stand. Once you're here, since your hands are on your hips, really ground yourself by pushing down into your pelvis. And then once you feel like you've got that, you'll turn your palms out to the side and just take a moment to soften the gaze or close the eyes and just notice what you notice. Okay, let's go ahead and open our eyes real quick. Inhale, sweep your arms up and overhead. Exhale, fold forward at your hips, Uttanasana, forward fold. From here, inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, step back, plank pose. Take a complete breath cycle here. So big breath in and a big breath out. On your next inhalation, you'll shift your weight forward and then exhale slower than you want to, lower all the way down. Great. Once you're on the floor, isometrically push down into your hands, pull your heart forward, draw the shoulder blades onto your back, and then inhale, float your legs back and up. You can pause here with the hands pushing down and pulling your chest forward a little bit more, or you might float your hands away from the floor, and we'll be here for 3. We'll be here for 2. We'll be here for 1. Exhale, lower all the way down. Inhale through hands and knees. Exhale back to downward facing dog. Take a breath here. On your next in-breath, raise to the balls of your feet. As you exhale, bend your knees, step or float top of space. When you get to the top of your space, you'll inhale and you'll halfway lift. And then you'll exhale and fold in. Inhale, root to rise, Urdhva Hastasana. And exhale, hands through heart center, Samasthiti. We're going to do that one more time. Inhale, circle, sweep your arms. Exhale, fold forward at your hips. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, step back, plank pose. Take a complete breath cycle. On your next inhalation, you'll shift your weight forward, and then as you exhale, lower all the way down. When you inhale, lift your chest and your legs. When you exhale, pause. Take another breath in. Exhale, stay. Last one. Inhale. Exhale, lower all the way down. Inhale through hands and knees. And then exhale back to downward facing dog. 3 breaths. Meeting ourselves exactly where we are. I think in some respects it requires a great bit of self-forgiveness. I know that I've become more aware of the things that I wish I'd done differently, and yet there has to be a point in which it's like, well, I did the best that I could. All right, next in-breath, raise to the balls of your feet. As you exhale, bend your knees, empty your belly, step or float top of space. Great. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, folding. Inhale, root to rise. And exhale, hands to heart center, Samasthiti. Okay, this is awkward and it's going to be on something that we're going to do later, but we're going to do it now. So inhale, sweep your arms up and overhead. As you exhale, you're going to bend your knees and see if you can touch your fingertips to the floor. Now inhale, keep your knees out low, reach your arms forward, Utkatasana. Fantastic. Exhale, stay here. Inhale, stand up. And then exhale, fold forward at your hips, Uttanasana, forward fold. Great. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, step back to downward facing dog. From down dog, inhale, sweep your right leg up and back. As you exhale, step the right foot between your hands. Now take a moment here. You might bring your hands to blocks, you might not, but we'll just see if we can lift our inner left thigh quite a bit. Press down into the center of your right heel and then see if you can reach your heart and sternum forward. Great. Some of you will stay right here. Some of you will walk your left hand closer to your right foot. You'll bring your right hand to the back of your skull. You'll inhale, you'll push down into your left hand. You'll scoop the belly on the right side. You'll roll your rib cage to the right. And we'll pause and we'll breathe. We're again thinking of lengthening the back of our skull forward and wrapping our ribs around our vertebra. Next in-breath, go ahead and unwind. As you exhale, soften the back knee down to the mat. Shift your weight back and straighten your front leg long. The blocks might be happy companions here underneath our hands. You might then flex your right foot even more. So now you're pulling your toes towards your face. And today I'm intentionally using the word might because sometimes it feels nice for this next bit when you externally rotate the thigh to maybe let the leg be lax and notice what that feels like. And then notice what it feels like if you actively flex through that foot. So you just play with that for you, letting the foot be lax or letting the foot be engaged, but you're just paying attention to what that feels like for you. Great. Next in-breath, let's go ahead and draw the foot back to center. Shift your weight forward. Frame your front foot. Now, this is a weird one. You're going to shift your weight forward and float your back leg parallel-ish to the floor. And then step your left foot right next to your right top of mat, Uttanasana. Great. From here, inhale, halfway lift. And then exhale, fold in. This time, roll up your spine all the way to stand. Once you're vertical, take a moment to just settle. And then we'll try that sequence again. So inhale, circle, sweep your arms up and overhead. As you exhale, bend your knees and touch your fingers to the floor. Great. Inhale, sweep your arms forward, and we're sitting in our Utkatasana. Fantastic. Exhale, just stay here. Next in-breath, stand up, reach up, maybe you look up. And then exhale, hinge forward at your hips. Uttanasana, forward fold. From there, inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. And then exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, step back, downward facing dog. Awesome. From down dog, inhale, sweep your left leg up and back. And then as you exhale, step your left foot quietly between your hands. Great. Awesome sauce. So maybe hands come to blocks at this point, maybe they don't. We want to first make sure we're lifting through our back thigh, that's our right thigh. Hug all the muscles around the bones and then drive the center of our left heel straight down. From there, you might walk your right hand closer to your left foot and then bring your left hand to the back of your skull. From here, again, we want to think of our sternum going forward, our crown going forward. Push down into the right hand, scoop the left low belly, and roll our ribs towards the left. And we pause and we breathe. And it's really thinking of our occipital bone, the base of our skull coming forward, and all of our ribs wrapping around our spine. Next in-breath, we'll unwind. Go ahead and soften your back knee to the mat. Then shift your weight back and straighten your front leg long. Now at this point, again, we might flex that left foot, really drawing all 5 toes back towards our face, and then roll on our heel to externally rotate that left thigh. And again, notice the difference that happens in sensation, what you really crave or maybe what you don't really want as you either let that foot become loose or if you actively engage it, and you just notice what feels appropriate for you right now. Great. And then as you're ready, draw the foot back to center, plant the foot on the floor, frame the front foot with both hands, straighten the back leg long, and then giant steps forward, floating your right leg parallel-ish to the floor for a second. Yep. And then step your right foot next to your left. Cool. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. And then exhale, fold in. Once again, roll up your spine, bone by bone by bone. Once you find yourself vertical, let's just take a moment to pause. And you'll take a moment to breathe. Cool. All right. Cool. So we are going to try this one more time before I add on and make something not fun for you. Okay. So inhale, sweep your arms up and overhead. Exhale, bend your knees, touch your fingers to the floor. Inhale, stay low in your legs, but reach your arms forward for Utkatasana. Great. And we'll just pause here, and I want you to notice where the weight is. Is it really evenly balanced between your feet? Next in-breath, stand up, reach up, look up. And this time, exhale, just lower your arms alongside your hips. Okay. So standing at the top of your space, we're going to go ahead and let's do it this way. Inhale, sweep your arms up and overhead. Exhale, bend your knees once again, touch the fingers towards the floor. I was going to show it sideways, but I think it might be better this way. Inhale, sweep your arms up. Now, this time as you exhale, you're going to shift to your right, and your left leg is going to come straight up with you. Cool. Now, the hard part, or the fun part rather, is you're going to start to snake your left leg back and find yourself into a high crescent lunge. Great. And you pause and you breathe. And now I'm going to make you reverse that. So you're going to shift your weight forward, lift the left leg back up. Great. And lower the foot down and lower the hands. Take a moment to soften the gaze, close the eyes. And then when you're ready, open the eyes. And we're going to try that again. So inhale, sweep your arms up. As you exhale, bend your knees, touch your fingers to the floor. So we're really strengthening our legs today. Inhale, sweep our arms forward. Awesome. Now, you take a moment to prepare here. You're going to shift the weight to your left leg. Stand up, right leg comes with you. Fantastic. Now, start to bend the left leg a little bit. Snake the right leg back. Lower the toes on the floor and find yourself in your high crescent lunge. Yep. And then we're going to reverse engineer that. Bend into the front leg. Shift your weight forward. Float the leg up. Great. Lower the leg down. Lower the arms down. Fantastic. You're going to do that one more time on your own, following your own breath. The reason I'm making you do it is the first time that was awkward and unknown. The second time that you do it, you'll find that you actually have a lot more strength in your body. So whenever you're ready, you try it on your own. So you'll inhale and sweep the arms up. You'll exhale, you'll bend your knees, you'll tap your fingers to the floor. There you go, Erica. Then you'll inhale into your chair pose. From your chair pose, you'll shift the weight to one leg. You'll float the opposite leg up and you'll come up to one-legged Tadasana. There you go, Laura. And then when you're ready, you bend the supporting leg. You start to snake the gesturing leg back and find your high crescent lunge. Yeah, there you go, Sandy. Nice, Julie. Nice, Robin. Nice, Barbara. Nice, Steve. And then you come back up into that one-legged Tadasana. That's where the strength comes in. Yep. And if you take many hops, that's okay. Awesome sauce. Yeah, stronger there, Sandy. Awesome. So make sure you do both sides. Nice, Erica. Fight for it. There you go. And then after you've done your second side, there you go. Arm standing. You just come back and you pause and you breathe and you notice what you notice. I think in many respects, it's learning to trust ourselves and really trust ourselves. And especially after we've done something that we thought was probably not the best idea. It requires that we step into the unknown, which is generally what stepping back behind us does. It evokes that sense of, oh my gosh, what the heck is going on? All right, cool. So we did that. Let's move on. Inhale, circle, sweep your arms up and overhead. Exhale, fold forward at your hips. Uttanasana, forward fold. From here, inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. And then exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, step back, plank pose. From plank, lower yourself all the way down to your abdomen. Once your belly touches, extend the toes back, pull the heart forward, draw the shoulder blades together on your back, and first come into a baby cobra. Then reach your toes back, then maybe lift your hands up. Some of you will stay right here. Some of you will slide your hands back a smidge, push down into your palms, and find yourself into your upward facing dog. But we want to keep the legs super active, pelvis lifted up and away from the floor, and you pause and you breathe. And then when you're ready, make your way back to downward facing dog. Great. Take 3 breaths. Awesome. All right. Let's move on. Inhale, sweep your right leg up and back. Exhale, draw your knee to your nose. Plant your foot between your hands. Spin your left foot to the ground. And then inhale, come up for warrior 2. Now, when you find yourself in your warrior 2, make sure your feet are in the position that's most appropriate for your sacrum. So front to back, right to left. And then as you're ready, you'll reach forward through your right hand. Maybe lower the right forearm to the thigh, maybe lower the right hand to the block or the floor. And then extend your left arm alongside your ear. The thing I'm most curious about for you to experience today is what's happening in your legs. Are they both pressing down, pulling in isometrically? And then what's happening on that left side body? Can you plant the hand in such a way that you feel this long stretch going all the way from the foot to the hip, to the ribs, to the shoulder, to the chest, all the way up? Great. On your next in-breath, let's go ahead and return to warrior 2. And then flip your front palm to face the sky. Reach your right arm up and over your head, and then take that little Hamilton shape. You're reaching up first. After you reach up so much through your right hand that you have no choice but to lean over towards your left leg, you'll find yourself in that reverse warrior. And you're just reaching up first, and you're pausing and you're breathing. Great. Next in-breath, come back to warrior 2. As you exhale, cartwheel your hands down to the mat. Pivot to the ball of your back foot, step back, downward facing dog. Your choice to cycle through or not, but you really pay attention to what is happening right here, right now. I think our ability to really trust, to rest in ourselves is actually best inhabited or experienced or expressed through our action or inaction. It can't be a contemplative thing only. And I guess that's one of the fun lessons of life. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Inhale, sweep your left leg up and back. As you exhale, step your foot between your hands, knee to nose, foot to floor. There we go. From there, spin your right foot to the mat, and then inhale, come up to warrior 2. And again, when you find yourself up on warrior 2 this time, take the opportunity. Do you need to work one foot a little further forward or back, a little more to the right or to the left? And then once you feel established in your legs, you're going to go ahead and reach forward through the left hand, maybe lower left forearm to top of thigh, maybe hand to block or floor, and then extend your right arm alongside your ears. Nice modifications, everyone. And again, start with the feet. So really push down through both legs and then isometrically pull them in towards your midline. And then notice that as you press onto the pinky toe edge of your right foot, that impacts what's happening at the top of your right hip, which impacts what's happening in your ribs, which happens in your shoulders, what's happening out through your arm. And we're just really trying to find that long, long line on our right side body. And then notice where your head is in relation to this. Is it dipping forward or leaning back? Great. Next in-breath, come back to warrior 2. Go ahead and reach your left arm straight up. And first reach up, like you're doing Tom Cruise first. So you're really doing Mission Impossible. And then you want to start to lean over to the right. So you reach up first to find the length in the vertebra, and then you find the side bend. Nice. All right. Next in breath, return to warrior two. As you exhale, cartwheel your hands to the mat, pivot to the ball of your back foot, step back to downward facing dog, your choice to cycle through or not. And then we'll find ourselves back in downward facing dog when you're ready. Great. From down dog, inhale, press to the balls of your feet. As you exhale, bend your knees, empty your belly, step or float, top of space. Great. Once you find yourself at the top of your mat, go ahead and inhale, halfway lift. And then exhale, fold in. Inhale, root to rise, Urdhva Hastasana. And exhale, hands to heart center, Samasthiti. Great. Okay. Go ahead and turn to face the long edge of your mat. And we'll separate our feet about 3 feet apart. I would encourage you to put a block towards the top of your mat and the back of your mat on the highest setting if that feels like that might be something you might wish to have available. Okay. And then the first thing that we'll do is we'll turn our left toes in, our right toes out. You're again going to press out through both feet, and with our hands on our hips, we'll elongate our waist to the right as we shift our pelvis to the left. Now, some of you might lower your right hand to the block. You might lower your right hand to the shin. With your left hand still here on your hip, you're really rooting down into your left hip. And then we're going to think of elongating our right side and wrapping our right ribs under our left ribs on top. Some of you will then extend up through your left hand. You might then turn your left palm to face forward and extend your left arm alongside your left ear for a long side body stretch in this variation of Utthita Trikonasana. And you just pause and you breathe and you pause and you breathe. Nice work. Next in breath, go ahead and reach back through the left hand, come all the way up to vertical. Turn both feet parallel to the short edges of your mat. Bring your hands to your hips. And then we'll try that on the other side. So you'll externally rotate your left leg. You'll internally rotate your right leg. With your hands on your hips, you'll elongate the spine as you shift your pelvis to the right. And then you might lower your left hand onto the shin or onto the block. Continue to press your right hand into your right hip down into the right foot. As you do that, wrap your left ribs forward and under. And maybe you stay here. Maybe you extend up through the right arm so it's right up to the sky. Maybe you turn your right palm to face your head and then extend your right arm alongside your ears. And you just pause and you breathe. And you pause and you breathe. Nice job. All right. When you're ready to come up, you inhale and you extend the right arm back. You come back to vertical. You turn both feet parallel to the short edges of your mat. Cool. Now with your feet still parallel to the short edges of your mat, some of you might need to bring a block in front of you. Some of you will be okay with just bringing your hands to the floor. So from here, we'll shift our pelvis back. We'll hinge forward at our hips. And maybe you plant your hand on the block underneath your chest, or maybe your hand is on the floor. With your spine parallel-ish to the floor, replant your left hand so it's now on your sacrum. Send your sternum and heart forward, and then send your pubic bone back. From there, start to scoop your abdomen on the left side. Press down into your right hand. Roll your rib cage towards the left. Now keep a slight bend in your knees if you're hypermobile or we're working towards straight with our legs. And then you might extend your left arm up towards the sky. So we're trying to find a ringing of the spine, or the rib cage rather, while keeping our pelvis relatively parallelish to the floor. Great. Next in breath. Go ahead and gently unwind. Come through center. Maybe for a second, you just let your head drop towards the floor and you feel Prasarda Padottanasana, and just notice what that feels like. And then as you're ready, we'll go ahead and inhale, halfway lift. This time, bring your left hand onto your block or maybe underneath your face. Right hand comes to the back of your sacrum. Make sure your spine is as parallel to the floor as it can be. So if you have to come up to a higher setting on the block, great, or maybe onto your fingertips, fantastic. And then from here, you'll start to push down into the left hand. Scoop the right low belly and roll your rib cage towards the right. And again, we're just seeing if we can keep that long line from our pubic bone through our sternum, through our skull. We're wrapping it towards the right, and maybe reach up through the right arm. Again, if you've got hypermobility in the legs, a slight bend in the knees, otherwise our legs are active and straight. Nice job. On your next in-breath, gently unwind. Come back through center and maybe just let your head drop again. Depending upon your proportions, it might feel nice to put your head on the block. My proportions are a little bit wonky, so that doesn't feel good to me, but other people might enjoy that. So you just pause and you breathe. Great. And then as we're ready, let's go ahead and inhale, halfway lift. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Bend your knees. Bring your hands to your hips. Press your pelvis back as you draw your sternum forward, and then inhale, come all the way up. Once you're vertical, if you're dizzy at all, drop your chin and lift your sternum. Cool. From here, let's turn our toes out and our heels in. You can keep your hands on your hips, and we're going to take a fun grand plie à la seconde. So second position grand plie. Cool. Now, from here, let's go ahead and cactus our arms. Great. Awesome. We're just going to pause and we're going to breathe here. We're going to pause and we're going to breathe here. And just notice what's happening in the legs. Is this a shape we want to run to or run away from? Is this a shape we like or we don't like? It's totally okay. We just notice. And then notice what happens if you sit a little deeper if you can. Next, in breath, go ahead and stand up, extend out through the arms, reach out through the legs. And then as you exhale, lower your arms, shake out the shoulders, turn the feet to parallel, and then step or jump your feet towards your midline. Okay, I want to try one more hard thing, and we're going to see how it goes. So let's stand at the top of our space. You might want your blocks somewhere nearby just in case. And we're going to see how this goes. All right. So standing with your feet hip distance apart, let's go ahead and return to that same variation. So inhale, reach your arms up. As you exhale, bend your knees and touch your fingertips to the floor. Great. Inhale, reach your arms forward and sit for your Utkatasana. This time, you're going to cactus your elbows, wrap your arms in front of you, but draw your left elbow under, your right arm on top, and maybe you've got the Garudasana, back of hands or front of palms. Cool. Now you're going to shift your weight over to your right leg. Your left leg is going to cross up and over. We're going to suddenly find ourselves in Garudasana, eagle pose. Cool. Some of you will stay right here and be like, Jessica, you've lost your mind. Some of you are going to unwrap that right leg, maybe unwrap your arms, and find yourself in a warrior three flying variation. Great. If you've done that, you're going to unwind your leg and come back to your one-legged Tadasana. If you didn't go to warrior three, you're going to come to one-legged Tadasana. Arms up, back to where we started earlier, and then go ahead and release everything down. Take a moment to shake it out. Cool, that went okay. Let's try that again. Well, not again, but on the other side. All right. So inhale, circle, sweep your arms up and overhead. Exhale, bend your knees, touch your fingers to the floor. Great. From there, sweep your arms forward, sit your butt low, Utkatasana. Awesome. Cactus your elbows. Now this time your opposite arm is going to come underneath. So that's going to be our right elbow. Awesome. And maybe you double wrap the arms, maybe you don't. You'll shift your weight to your left leg. Your right leg will float up. Maybe it will cross over. Maybe it'll hook around. Fantastic. Maybe you will stay right here. Maybe you'll try to fly your eagle. So you'll unwrap the legs. You'll send the heart forward. You'll send the hands back. You'll send the leg back. Find yourself in your warrior three flying pose. Great. And when you're ready to come out of that one-legged Tadasana, right leg comes forward, arms reach up. Awesome, awesome, and exhale, lower down. Race, shake it out. Do we want to try that again or are we done? Okay, so if you're a thumbs up, go ahead and try it again and just try it on your own and just notice. Some of the things that we do really get easier when you do it the second time, mostly because we know what the heck is going on. Our bodies can help us, our brains can help us. And part of, I guess, growing, nice modification there, Barbara, is just giving ourselves permission to know that, hey, if I fall out of it, no worries, I come back in. And if I fall out of it, no worries, I come back in. Yep. Yeah. Good job, guys. Nice, Julie. Yep. Nice, Julie. Keep going. You got it. Nice control there, Erica. Good, Sandy. Nice, Laura. You got it, Julie. Awesome. And then once you've tried, got it, Laura. Yep, 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 yep. There you go. You got it. 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 Yay! Okay. Once you come back, you just take a moment and you stand and you notice. There are lots of crazy things that we do that are just as complicated as that, and a lot of crazy things that we do that are not as complicated as that. And all of it is just a matter of us helping build our sense of awareness of who we are, what our strengths are, what our opportunities of growth are, and that builds our self-trust. Cool. Let's move on. So once you're done, actually, I just lied. You're going to figure out how to fold forward at your hips. And we're going to bring our butts to the floor in whatever way works for you. So when you come forward in your hips, maybe you take a couple of breaths here. And again, back to that original comment, maybe you push your pelvis back and just let your head descend towards the floor. And that might feel really nice on your spine. Maybe you're just like, yeah, I've forward folded enough. And then you just bend your knees and put your butt on the floor. Awesome. And once you bring your butt to the floor, we're going to cross our left foot outside of our right hip, and we're going to cross our right foot outside of our left thigh. Other way, Sandy. Other leg. There we go. And then go ahead and wrap your left arm around your right leg. Bring your right hand off to the right somewhere. And you're going to gently press your right thigh into your left forearm. Your left forearm pulls into your right thigh. You lengthen up through your vertebra. And then you scoop the right low belly away from the thigh as you wrap your left ribs in towards your inner right thigh. And you just pause and you breathe. And you pause and you breathe. Great. And you've got one or two more breath cycles here. And when you're ready, you'll gently unwind. You'll bring your feet in front of you, and then we'll cross the right foot outside of our left hip, the left foot outside of our right thigh. We'll wrap our right arm around our left thigh and walk our left hand somewhere towards our left hip. And again, you press your thigh into your crook of your arm. You pull the crook of your arm into your thigh. You lift up through the vertebra. You scoop your left low belly and you wrap your right ribs towards the inner left thigh. And you just pause and you breathe. And you pause and you breathe. And you pause and you breathe. All right. On your next in breath, you'll gently unwind. You'll come back through center. We'll take a moment in Baddha Konasana, so soles of the feet together, knees open like a book. You might choose to wrap your hands around the pinky toe side of your foot, and then maybe pull your chest through the gates of your arms. And some of you might drop your right ear to your right shoulder and just notice what that feels like. And then you might come through center and maybe drop your left ear to your left shoulder. Just feel what that feels like. And come back to center. And then from here, you're going to bring your hands to the outer edges of your thighs, close your knees together like a book. You are going to face the back of your space. And then extend your legs long. All right. And I should give you the opportunity. If your legs being long is too much, please bend your knees and put your feet on the floor. From here, you'll reach your arms forward parallel to the floor. And then this is a Pilates roll down. So you're going to start at your tailbone and you're going to curl your tailbone towards your heels. And then you're going to slowly work all the way through your vertebra, rolling down to the floor, bone by bone by bone by bone by bone by bone by bone. Once your head hits, your arms can reach up and over your head. And then as you exhale, the hands are going to come back over your chest. You're going to tuck your chin to your chest and slowly roll up. Bone by bone by bone by bone by bone by bone. Okay. And then when you get to the top, you might grab your feet. You might stay in a Paschimottanasana for a couple of breaths. And then you'll lengthen the spine and you'll roll down, and you'll do that 2 more times on your own. So you're just doing a Pilates roll up and a Pilates roll down, and maybe somewhere in between you decide to hang out in Paschimottanasana. Wherever you are, though, I do encourage you to notice if you dip more to your right side or your left side as you're going up or as you're coming down. I also encourage you to notice if your legs are actually parallel or if one of them externally rotates more than the other. There you go, Julie. And with the Pilates roll up in particular, you want to think of lengthening the back of the spine. So it's like the back of your head lifts, which draws your chin to your chest. So you're keeping that whole back line of fascia as long as possible. And it's supposed to help alleviate some of the tension that you're experiencing in your throat, chest, neck area, trying to lift yourself up. So after you've done a total of 3, I want you to take a couple of breaths in Paschimottanasana. That's a forward fold. And you might hold your feet, you might not. Wow, that's pretty good for you, Sandy. Um, and just hang out there for a couple of breaths. Notice what you notice in the backs of the legs, the low back, the breath. And after you've taken enough breath cycles in your Paschimottanasana, you'll do your final Pilates roll down and make your way onto your back. Yep, 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 yep. Good job, guys. Good job, guys. I guess I should say guys and gals. I don't know a neutral one for both. Yeah, fantastic. Once you finally get all the way down onto your back, you'll go ahead and just take a breath cycle there. And then go ahead and bend your knees and plant your feet on the floor. Cross your right ankle over the top of your left thigh and take Sukhi Randrasana, figure 4. And again, in your Sukhi Randrasana, maybe you grab the back of the left thigh. Maybe you don't. Maybe you shift your body a little bit from right to left, a little rocking. Maybe you don't. But you're just checking in. I think one of the things I've noticed about myself is I tend to be one of those people that moves towards things that I think are challenging. I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing or a bad thing, but it's definitely something that I've noticed. And I think in some respect, it gives a lot of confidence, but it also gives me cause for concern at times, just as I think all things do. All right, go ahead and gently release. You're going to switch sides. Spread your hands through the whole of the leg if you did so on the first side. Maybe you rock a little bit, maybe you don't, you know? But I think it's interesting, like there are some things that we all go towards and some things that I naturally will run away from. I don't care what it is. If I've deemed it as something that's not a good type of challenge, I will run away from. And I think the thing that I'm really most curious about is like, how can I be okay with both those facets of self so that I can trust that when I do go towards something, it's something that I really should be going towards. And if I do pull away from something, there's a legitimate reason. I think this creates a sense of grounding in myself, then creates a foundation for the relationships that I have with others. And I think it's true for all of us. Like, who are the people that you find the most grounding in life? It's probably the ones that are very, very steeped in their own sense of self, not in a way that's like destructive or narcissistic, but just compassionate, I guess I would say. Go ahead and gently release. Last thing that we're going to do, well, I lied. That's not the last thing you're going to do. Go ahead and draw your knees into your chest. Bring your hands to the inner edges of your thighs. Grab the outer edges of your feet. Take a moment to take Happy Baby Ananda Balasana. Maybe you want to start off with that Supta Baddha Konasana if that feels good to you, or you want to just straight up go to Happy Baby, but just pause and breathe and notice what's happening on the inner thighs. We did a few things to address this today, but not many, so just notice. Awesome. Very gently draw your knees to your chest. Go ahead and plant your feet back on the floor. Widen your feet outside of your hips. Then widen your feet a little bit more. And then just bring your right knee so it points straight up to the sky and let your left knee fall to the right knee. There you go. So internal rotation of just one leg. Yep, and notice how that feels. If you need to widen that right foot a little further, by all means do that. And then go ahead and inhale, come back through center, and then switch sides. So now the left knee drops towards the right ankle. Again, if you need to widen the feet, go ahead and do that. You're just trying to feel a sensation across the front of your left thigh. Great. And then go ahead and come back through center. Now, if you want a windshield wiper, by all means, windshield wipers. Great. And then let's go ahead and come into stillness when you're neutral between the two sides. From here, push through your feet, lift your hips, slide your butt to the right, put your butt down, and then take both legs over to the left. You might stack the knees right on top of each other. You might extend the bottom leg long. You might wrap the top ankle on top of, sorry, the left ankle on top of the right knee. But you just take a moment to pause and breathe here. And notice that wherever your right hand is, that can impact the sensation you feel on your back body. So if the hand is straight out in line with the shoulder, that produces one sensation. If it starts to arc up towards your head, that produces a drastically different sensation. But you just pause and you breathe. And I guess it's more of a YMCA Y angle. It's not really alongside your ear. Great. And then when you're ready, draw the right end back to the right. If it's anywhere else, uncross the legs, come back through center. And then try that on the other side. Lift your bum, slide your butt to the left, let the legs fall to the right. Again, take whichever variation you did on the first side. And then notice where you plant that left hand and how that impacts your back body. And you pause and you breathe. And you pause and you breathe. And then as you're ready, you'll inhale and you'll come back through center. Now, the last shape that I'll give you before you go to your final resting pose is an unsupported Supta Baddha Konasana. So the soles of the feet together, the knees open. You'll stay here for 3 to 5 breaths. If you decide that you wish to stay here longer, it might be a good idea to put blocks or something underneath the outer edges of the thighs, but just take a couple of breaths here and notice the weight of gravity pulling on the adductors, the inner thigh muscles. Notice what's happening in your pelvis as this happens. And then as you're ready, you'll start to make your way to your final resting pose. So if you choose to stay in Supta Baddha Konasana, maybe the blocks come to support the outer edges of the thighs. If you would like to do a regular Shavasana, by all means do that. If legs up the wall feels like it would be great, do that. If something else is calling your body, do that. But wherever you're doing, I do encourage you to take the opportunity to really trust and listen to the body. Because I think that confidence, that groundedness that some people really exhibit quite well comes from a couple of things. First, they listen, they acknowledge what's going on, and then they act on that awareness. We all have the capacity to do that. We all do that in various ways. It's just there's certain areas of life where that capacity feels a little more tenuous. And then once you find yourself in whatever final pose you are taking, I encourage you to take a big breath in through the nose and then an audible breath out through the mouth. And you'll just do that 2 more times on your own. Big breath in and big breath out. And last time, big breath in and big breath out. Go ahead and allow yourself to fall into your natural, involuntary rhythm of the breath. And just stay with your breath, stay with yourself for the next few moments. And I'll let you know when it's time to come out. Return your awareness to your breath. As you come back to your breath, just take a moment to check in. Notice if there's any part of you longing to linger in this shape. If there is, by all means, please stay here. When you are ready, allow movement to re-enter into the physical form, whatever way feels nurturing, nourishing, curious to you. Again, if you're in stillness, stay as long as you'd like. If you're in movement, start to make your way to your right side and pause there for a few breath cycles. After you've taken a few breaths on your right side, you'll start to roll your chest more towards the floor. Use your hands to walk your spine up to vertical. When you are vertical, I do encourage you to sit on something. And then just as we began, just take a couple of breaths here to just notice what you notice. It can sound cliche at times, but our presence and our attention is the most powerful thing that we can give. And that's a gift that we can also give to ourselves first and foremost, so that we have awareness of really what we're needing and how to meet those needs. And then with time, we have the experience that we can trust in those knowledges, or that knowledge, that we're not swayed either by aversion or by attachment, but we're really grounded and centered. So as you're here for these last few breath cycles, I just invite you to notice. Notice the breath. Notice the body. Notice you, the witness beyond both the body, both the breath. We'll go ahead and complete our practice with a collective breath, followed by a collective Om. Bring your hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra. Receive the weight of the thumbs into your sternum as you lift your sternum into your thumbs. Gently exhale all the breath from your mouth. Take a big breath in through the nose. Audible exhale. Inhale for Om. Join if you'd like. Draw your thumbs to your third eye. May your thoughts be clear. Draw your thumbs to your lips. May our words be kind. And draw your thumbs to your heart center. May our hearts be open. That light, that breath, that wisdom and trust within me honors and salutes that light, that breath, that wisdom and trust within each of you. Namaste.